Hello, it is your favorite nobody. And yes, I do look like somebody who was just rescued from being stranded someplace. It's like super rough and, block nose, feverish. That is my week so far. And how are you doing? My goodness me, what has America done to itself? I'm kidding. Am I? Well, we're about to find out. So rest assured that unless there is some huge interest to what I have to say, which is never the case, it's never been the case, I won't be doing many of these videos because, I'm a firm believer in acta non verba, meaning actions, not words. Although I'm mainly words. You take my words away and I'm nothing. I'm just a shell. Just like everybody else, I'm always perplexed by things that seem obvious to me failing to register with other people, or seemingly failing to register with other people. But as I grow older, as I see some of life and what life has to offer, and especially a life of a migrant, of something of a maverick, something of pseudo intellectual / a curious bookworm. Life. I don't know why it surprises me, but it does. Life still surprises me. People surprise me to this day, in both good ways and bad ways. My fellow human beings, my comrades, my brothers and sisters. I guess the first thing is I never cared for politics. I never did care for politics, although there was a time when I was seriously considering studying European politics, actually. In college, I had no idea what to do with myself. I didn't really want to study medicine. I didn't want to study IT, even though it's what I work now and what I am fairly decent at. I wasn't much for sports or arts, even though I wanted to entertain the thought that I can write a decent little essay or two, or just a stream of consciousness. I couldn't do much. I didn't know what to do when I was younger, and politics was attractive, the idea of it, but I never knew enough about it, and maybe that's what drew me into it, because I never knew much about it. And then as I grew older, I didn't know what to do with voting. Like the first time I voted, I was 18. And back home in Bulgaria, a de facto royalty had returned from Spain or something. Somebody whose lineage can be traced back to when Bulgaria had an Austrian-Hungarian kind of leader, Ferdinand. And I just went with my grandmother and I casted my vote for this man who promised a change in 800 days. Bulgaria had just come out from a very turbulent drop of communism, a 180 degrees change in the political landscape. From one regime to another, people felt hopeful, but they didn't see things moving very fast. And this man shows up and he promises a change. He promises to change things in 800 days. And I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't think about it much. I just followed what my my family did. And we voted for him. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I had the ability to cast my vote, and I did. And lo and behold, things may have changed in 800 days, but I don't think they changed so much, or they didn't feel the way people thought they would feel. Surprise, mother blipping surprise. And I'm not being cynical about it. I'm not being... It's not irony I say this with. I'm not saying I knew what was happening back then. I'm just saying that that was the case. I was oblivious, but had the right to vote. And I went along with whatever everybody else thought is right, especially in my close circle. Fast forward to 2007. My mother decides to just leave the family business, leave our house, and just go to the UK to find work. We're seeing how a lot of people who go to Belgium or Germany, Switzerland, the US seem to be doing very well. They come back to our hometown, they rebuild their houses, they buy new cars, they look well off financially. And that's attractive. That is definitely attractive. And because our business was failing miserably and my parents had no idea how to run it in the first place, which I now know, but back then we just thought it's the reality of things. Just the environment itself does not allow for the business to run properly. Blame the government, blame whatever. It just blame, bigger businesses kind of taking over and hurting smaller businesses, which is also true. I'm not discounting it. We saw everybody else was doing well. So my mother was like, yeah, I'm gonna take the leap. I'm just gonna sell some of our property and I'm leaving. I'm going. I was like, okay, I'll come with you. I was 19. I was about to get into university to study something that I didn't care about in a town I didn't care about. I was out of a relationship, and I felt absolutely miserable and disillusioned and disheartened and just completely shattered. And I was like, oh yeah, adventure, let's go. Let's just go and do it. I have nothing to lose. I have nothing to gain, nothing to lose. F all of this. F the small town. Just go. Just get on the bloody bus and go, because that's how we did it. We took a bus across Europe to get to the UK, to get to Victoria Station in London. And I remember when we first arrived, I felt nothing. I wasn't overwhelmed or like surprised or shocked at all. I didn't know how to feel about it. It was just happening. It was all happening. It was unfolding. And that first evening, we were taken to a house in one of the many rough neighborhoods in London, called Burnt Oak, in northern London, and this little house, and we walk in and we find out we're going to be sharing one bath with 11 other people. And we had like a small room to ourselves, just 2 small beds and nothing else. 1 kitchen, 1 bath between 11 people, and people from all over, from Poland, from Ukraine, from Bulgaria, people we've never met. But it was to me, it was kind of fun. It was kind of cool. Mind you, my mother was 40 something at the time, but to me, it was fresh. It was adventure. And I just didn't know where this was going. I had no idea, and I couldn't care less. I didn't think about the politics. I didn't think about economics. I didn't think about any of it. Any of what troubles people nowadays. I didn't think about it at all. A lot has happened since. Okay, a lot has changed since. For one, I have less hair. I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding. It's a fact. But no, I think the very first thing that happened that made a lot of that made me change quite a bit is accepting that I am in this situation now, and I need to do something about it. There is nobody else out there to help me. I just need to step up and just take control. Just do something. I just couldn't just wait for something to happen. You just cannot do that. And I remember I was taking a shower, and something in me just died completely. Just there was this whatever youth feels. It kind of washed away from me, and I was like, oh fudge, okay. No, this is reality now. I have to yeah, I can't be who I was, Or in the words of the actor who passed away from Game of Thrones, the boy must die so the man may be born, or something stupid like that. I wasn't there yet, but I felt something akin to that. So that was the first watershed moment for me. And it was hard. It was very hard to somehow accept my lonely existence and my confusion, and kind of accept this new reality I'm in, and find a way to just find a reason to go out and find work, and sort documentation out and sort finances out, and boy oh boy did I hate every bit of it. And I did then for the bulk of my 20s. I despised it. I just couldn't. I hated reality. I hated the reality I found myself in. With constantly looking for new places to live, with rents rising, with landlords who seem nice but then turn absolutely evil, with a city that doesn't care for anything and anyone. It was so much. There was so much happening, and I didn't want any of it. I didn't want part in any of it. And then Brexit happened. And it happened at a moment in my life when I was wondering about home. Where is home? I didn't feel particularly homesick, because my father eventually joined us. My younger brother, we brought him over as well. So the whole family was around, except our grandmother, who unfortunately passed away kind of alone, and in not so good circumstances, which in hindsight was horrific. And it's one of the sacrifices people for some reason make, for economic reasons. People just make that. But we just find reasons, oh, I need to work, so I know you miss me, but I'll take the next flight, summertime, and I'll see you. And then the person passes away, and you have no time to go to the funeral. And anyway, that's an entire different thing. But yeah. I was wondering about home and where home is, and I was wondering, is this now home? Is London, UK home? Is this how my life going to continue to go in this large city with these expensive rent prices and food prices and work I didn't care about, because I was just doing all kinds of different work and manual labor, and I didn't want to study. I thought, I'm just going to be a hardworking regular Joe, and I'm just going to stay with the people at the lowest economic bracket, and this is where reality is. But the reality is I couldn't fit with any of them. I couldn't find any common grounds. I couldn't find any common language. I had the pleasure of meeting some fantastic human beings, and unfortunately some just awkward and difficult and mean-spirited and just kind of Debbie Downer people. And now in hindsight, I realize they're just a product of the lives they've chosen for themselves in some way, and the lives that they've had no power over in some way. Yeah, Brexit happened, and I thought, nah, nobody's going to vote to leave. I mean, I expected people to vote to leave EU, but I thought to myself, well, there's a lot of young people in the UK, a lot of people from the UK. This was once an empire, spread throughout the world, and people understand intermixing, and they understand how cultures bleed into one another, and they understand. No, nobody cared about it. People just voted leave. And when I saw that, I was like, my God, what? How? Why? What? Why? Well, it's complex. It is very. It turns out I knew nothing about a lot of people. I was in London. I was earning a London living wage, living a London life, and I didn't really. To me, the fact that London made 80% of what the entire country can produce out of services, where once part of this country, a large part, was an industrial powerhouse. Yeah, to me, that just at the time just wasn't the thing. It was I just knew it as a historic fact, but I didn't feel any of it. I couldn't feel any of it. I didn't think, how individuals like me who come to the UK, you can be as upstanding a citizen as you want to be. You can be paying your taxes, learn the language, read the literature, follow the sports. None of that matters. People just there are millions who will not give a single iota of care to any of this. They're like, you are not part of the tribe. You are an outsider. That's it. End of. And with that, I made my mind to leave the UK. And that was in 2015. And in just a month and some, it's going to be 2025. And I live in the north of the UK, in one of those areas that once was prosperous and now is so run down and shoddy and dodgy and decrepit. And you can see and feel it. I can feel it. I can feel the people. I have a feeling for I can see why they would think the way they would, and why they would vote a Brexit or some extreme party stance. I see it. I see how it can be. I see why it can be. I still cannot accept it. I still think that no matter the circumstances, you have to try and raise above them, at least morally. But at the same time, if you don't have whatever it is that I have, love, support, open-mindedness, curiosity, proclivity for adventure, ability to suffer, ability to be a sucker, ability to look inside and find issues with yourself as opposed to what's external to yourself. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is that makes people like me. We're not successful. We're not attractive. We're no exemplars. But I think we know right from wrong, at least in terms of morality, at least in terms of, in terms of morals. I think we know right from wrong. And we know that it takes courage, and it takes selflessness, and it takes determination to not ignore yourself. You gotta love yourself to learn to love others, but in some way. But it also is very painful to be suffering and at the same time be offering support. It kind of is weird if you're sick yourself and trying to heal somebody else. It's a weird dynamic. It's really weird, and it's very difficult. And I don't think it's the right way to do things in general. So it's bizarre to me. It's bizarre to me when I, see millions of people voting for a criminal surrounded by people with no moral backbone, with no integrity, with no care in the world for the individual human being, with no ability to reflect on their own actions, with no ability to admit mistakes. I find that very unhealthy to be supporting individuals like that. I don't find it inspiring. I don't find it particularly productive. I just don't. And I'm not the biggest believer in any means necessary, But I kind of get why, out of frustration and anger, out of all the bad things people are feeling, I see why you want to tear the world down. I see why you want to burn it down. Because I know at one point I wanted to do the exact same thing. Yeah. I think in every one of us, there is a potential for destruction, for this idea that we know how to reshape the world anew in a way that's better than it is now. But history shows that whenever such massive changes take place, all at once, with no consideration for context, for the complexity of things, and most importantly, with individuals that have no, again, morals, no kindness in them, no understanding, and most importantly, no ability to admit mistakes. This is the biggest thing for me. If you're unable to accept your own mistakes and shortcomings, I just don't see how history shows you just can't. In very good, well-intended, well-meaning. Again, I don't think the political people now in the US are well-meaning. They're not well-meaning. We know that. But even the most well-meaning and well-intentioned individuals, when you try and just make sweeping changes to something that's already laid out and set up, it usually backfires. Brexit backfired. Did it chase away foreigners from the UK? No. Did it make a lot of us upset? Yeah. Is it making it harder to come to the UK and live and work? Yeah, definitely. Has it made life in the UK for the people of the UK worse? In some ways, yes. Yeah. A lot of businesses closed down because they forgot they need to trade with the EU. A lot of businesses were promised many things. Our politicians in the UK promised many things, and they just couldn't deliver because, again, when you promise somebody the world, it's a spiel. It's not possible. It's unreasonable, but you go for it anyway. At least some people go. But life continues, and lessons are learned, and in a few generations' time, This would be just one more historic lesson. Somebody will be sitting in class and reading, "Oh, Brexit, yeah, that was like 100 years ago, and this is what happened with these parties and these interesting and to kids. I mean, some kids will be sleeping in class if classes still exist. So imagine students will be like, "Oh yeah, I need to study. I'm not going to study this. Fudge that." But we're living it now. It's the same thing in the U.S. Provided we don't, the U.S. doesn't try to rewrite its history now, which I see again a part of it wants desperately to rewrite history. In 100 years' time, students in class will be like reading about presidents and the chance of electing a black woman president or a criminal. Oh yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah. Where are we going after class? Oh yeah, let's go and get some drinks and do so. Nobody will care. Nobody will care. But it's our reality now. We have to live through this. We have to live we have to live with our choices, with our actions, and from the results from these things. We have to live with all of that because we live in a world of consequences. But I'm not gonna pretend that I know what the consequences are from what we're doing now. I can see the trajectory. I can kind of see the trends. But I thought I saw the same thing for Brexit, and I thought I saw the same thing for the presidential stuff. Elections. I was wrong. So I hope I'm wrong again. I hope the trends I'm seeing are just like an anomaly, a blip in history, and then they're going to go away. Doesn't change the fact that we have to live through them. We have to live with them. We have to try and protect and nurture our humanity and our kindness and our understanding in the face of potential self-caused harm and adversity. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. This is the last time I'm making videos like that. Next one, more gaming. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.